Good day, everyone, and welcome to a virtual presentation of the entire Lee County Government Strategic Plan. This plan is the culmination of great community effort, and it has been a plan that we have been proud to work on and present to this community. The idea with this presentation is to take you through the process for creating a strategic plan, including the specific timeline or journey that Lee County government took to create this specific plan. We will discuss an overview of the entire plan, including all of its components, and discuss what's next and recommendations for the years beyond. So what is the purpose of creating a strategic plan in general and specifically for Lee County? The specific purpose is to engage the community in really cultivating the future of the organization and the government at large. It is the creation of a shared mission, vision, and set of core values. It is to create a common understanding of the value and importance of Lee County in its role and service to the community, provide direction and a clear vision for the future, guide and inform the budget, create actionable items that will support the vision and mission, provide a clear focused message, how we are different and what services and programs we provide, but it's also an information and marketing tool for the community at large. And really, it's a chance to learn what is working for Lee County and what needs to be improved. And finally, it is a document that helps communicate that the community was heard in its creation of the current state of the county as well as its collective future. What are the benefits to creating a strategic plan and the benefits that the Lee County Strategic Plan provides to the community and the organization at large? A strategic plan helps in decision making across the organization. It helps drive budgeting and resource allocations, helps guide where services will be moving to in the future. It builds champions within the community and collective buy-in of the organization and the community, provides a unified vision, helps in messaging and marketing, strengthens the community at large, and identifies who to partner with, as well as creating ways to collaborate and leverage the current partnerships that you've already grown and have in place. So what are the outcomes for the Lee County Government Strategic Plan? It is a document and a created way through which a shared and supported mission and vision, as well as the identification and implementation of core values, can be conveyed through the organization to the community. It's a document that creates alignment of vision and direction, as well as markets and celebrates Lee County both within and beyond the community. It also creates realistic expectations for the future and enhances your already fantastic partnerships. The deliverable that we brought forth is a written strategic plan that has been freshly adopted by the Lee County Commissioners on September 21st, 2020, and a plan from which all of the implementation can be guided for the foreseeable future. Remember that this plan was the creation of a collaboration of not only the organization of Lee County government, but stakeholders within the region and the community at large. Remember that alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And finally, this plan is all about you. We firmly believe that this is your plan, not ours. We don't sit back at home and design your plan, but build your desired plan based upon your feedback and input. You should feel that this plan reflects the community, not only in the state of the community today, but also the shared vision of the community for tomorrow. So pretty much all strategic plans are designed the same way, and this one is designed in a similar way as well. A great plan has several components. As we've stated before, the vision is really the idealistic place that you want to be. Below that is the mission, which is really the purpose or the why your organization exists. Then from the mission, you have your core values, which were created by the Lee County Government Advisory Group. This is how you live your plan, how you implement your plan, the lens through which you go about your daily work and your action. A good set of core values identifies and describes your organization and how it functions on its best day. Below that, you develop key areas of focus. These are the most important parts. These are the big issues that face the county and don't change in their importance. They live with the life of the plan, and they really identify your key areas of focus and what you're going to be focusing on for the entire longevity of the plan. Underneath each key area of focus, you'll have goals. Goals are fairly broad, they're somewhat specific, but they're still intangible and tend to be longer term. These last about 1 to 5 years. Underneath goals are objectives. Objectives are a little bit more specific and measurable, but they're broader than action areas. Below these are action steps. Action steps change pretty regularly and they're not seen specifically on the strategic plan as they can be very specific to immediate issues or they are small tasks that are used to build to accomplish your goals. These action steps typically have a 90 to 120 day lifespan for accomplishments and they are very specific. So when a strategic plan is created, there are typically 3 questions to answer. The first question today is where are we today? Where are we right now? What's working well? What's not working well? This is your current state of being. The next question is where are we going? Where do you want to be in the future? This is how you cultivate your vision for the future. And finally, the last question you ask in the creation of a strategic plan is how are we going to get there? These answers are very process and action oriented and really is where the rubber meets the road in the implementation of your plan. You can also look at the creation of a strategic plan as being a roadmap. And while I apologize that this is difficult to see on the presentation at hand, the roadmap on the slide shows that the initial steps are at the bottom with the achievement of vision all the way at the top, at the horizon, at the end of the rainbow, if you will. As you travel down the road, beginning with outlining your current state of being, identifying your mission, values, and goals, and priorities, you may have complications and roadblocks, detours like the COVID-19 pandemic, policy changes, emergency resource reallocation. But to keep moving with the mission and vision, just like you would traveling down the road to your destination, you must keep driving and facing the detours with continued motion ahead. So briefly, what is the timeline and process specific to the Lee County Government Strategic Plan? The acceptance of the contract to create the strategic plan began all the way in December of 2019, with a kickoff meeting beginning in March with a visiting session with the Lee County Commissioners. The COVID-19 pandemic did compress and change some of the schedule as well as extend the overall timeline. The biggest issue that came up with the COVID-19 pandemic is that in-person engagement and community meeting opportunities were limited due to gathering restrictions. However, virtual and electronic data gathering through interviews over Zoom or telephone, as well as a virtual community survey, began in earnest in May and went through July. In addition to that, the meeting with the advisory group of Lee County occurred over 2 meetings in June and July in order to come up with the content of the plan. Through electronic resources, the plan was created, drafted, reviewed, revised, reviewed again, and then presented to the Lee County Commissioners for their ultimate review in August of 2020. Finally, in September of 2020, the plan was reviewed, presented one more time to the County Commissioners, and adopted. So what exactly is within the strategic plan report? How does the document reflect all of the work for community input, stakeholder surveys, and the work of the advisory group in order to create a shared mission, vision, set of core values, the key areas of focus, as well as goals and objectives for each? This all begins with the foundation of the plan, which is the specific mission, vision, and set of core values for Lee County government. As outlined in this plan, the mission, vision, and core values are as follows. Lee County government cultivates a community of collaboration and innovation through visionary leadership and dedicated service. The Lee County government vision statement is that Lee County government is a celebrated community seen as the center of economic advancement and cultural heritage connected to the people. And finally, the set of core values upon which Lee County government conducts its daily work and sets the tone for the key areas of focus, the goals, and objectives, is that Lee County government is accountable, competent, inclusive, has integrity, is visionary, and is welcoming. Like we said before, the COVID-19 pandemic did change how we were to gather the data and the community input. However, we were able to solicit comments from a community survey issued from May through July of 2020. Through this survey, we received over 200 respondents and who provided over 2,000 comments on the current state of Lee County as well as their vision for the future. So what sort of community insights did the survey provide? What people love about Lee County is that it has a small town feeling, abundant parks, recreation, and open space opportunities, fantastic historic buildings, and a lower cost of living regionally. What did the community say that Lee County could improve in its provision of service to the community? Additional educational opportunities, healthcare opportunities, create more robust economic health, provide additional and improved parks, recreation, and open space opportunities, address transportation issues, address communication and engagement, and provide more opportunities for arts and culture. What was the vision and sort of the prevailing terms that the community used in its feedback? The over 200 respondents to the community survey felt that Lee County was diverse and welcoming. It provided opportunities for families. It was small. It was fun, friendly, cultural, both urban and rural, safe, and inclusive. So how else did Lee County take the pulse of the community in the creation of the Lee County Government Strategic Plan? There was a commissioner's visioning session, the online survey that we just discussed before, interviews of stakeholders of regional agencies, cities, towns, educational institutions, and local government groups, as well as business groups. Social media feedback, the creation and involvement of an advisory group made up of elected officials and senior staff at Lee County government, and a virtual community meeting, which was held on June 30th, 2020. This brings us to the key areas of focus formed based upon the mission, vision, values, and the community input. These are arts and culture, community safety, economic development, education, health and well-being, and partnerships. Each key area of focus is defined as follows. Arts and culture continues to create and support a vibrant and diverse cultural community in Lee County through the support of facilities, programs, and regional partnerships. Community safety is defined as support a safe community through programs, partnerships, and trust. Economic development defined as continue the upward trend of industrial recruitment, small business support, and workforce development through educational partnerships. The education key area of focus is defined as focus on supporting all levels and aspects of community education to contribute to the knowledge base of the entire community. Health and well-being is defined as promote and maintain the health and well-being of Lee County through parks, recreation, activities, and programs that improve the quality of life for our community and members. And finally, partnerships, defined as maintain partnerships within and beyond Lee County in business, education, community, and with the partner governments. And finally, within each key area of focus are outlined goals and objectives to help drive the direction and implementation of these areas of focus. Beginning with arts and culture, the first goal is to create intentional opportunities and grow spaces for affordable entertainment and be known throughout North Carolina for this purpose. Over the next 12 months, Lee County government will work to establish an Arts and Culture Commission. The other objective is within 5 years, Lee County government will build, either on its own or through community partnerships, an artist incubator, building, or space to cultivate local growth of artists and makers. The second goal for arts and culture is to increase awareness of cultural activities throughout the community. The first objective here is to identify and market local trends in artistry, followed by working with the Arts and Culture Commission to define what the local artistic culture is in Lee County. The next key area of focus is community safety. The first goal for community safety is to increase opportunities and activities for youth of all ages. The objectives for this goal is to increase and encourage law enforcement participation in partnerships with local events, identify community volunteer groups that serve youth and market their presence and mission in a single space, and finally, host a volunteer or youth group summit where each group can connect with the youth of the community. The second goal is to increase opportunities to grow public trust. We want to begin a community conversation series where the community can meet with staff and learn about various programs or services they provide to the community. Next, we want to actively seek feedback from the community on each and every event that Lee County puts on. And finally, we want to create more events with direct involvement from community leaders with the intent of fostering connections. And finally, the last goal with community safety is to ensure that Lee County remains a safe environment for community interactions. The first objective is to create safe spaces for the interaction of youth and the community that serves all areas of interest. Secondly, we want to incorporate safety of users in the design of all new buildings and public places in Lee County. And finally, within 2 years, train all staff on situational awareness and public safety techniques to create an atmosphere of trust, safety, and accountability. Next, we have the focus area of economic development. The first goal is to become a world-class center for the biotech industry. The objectives through which this goal will be achieved is to establish partnerships with a minimum of 2 universities in the region with biotech specialties. For example, North Carolina State or the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. The second objective is to work with the North Carolina Biotech Center to partner on marketing and industry development programs for Lee County. The second goal for economic development is to create the environment for community-based economic development. The objectives for this are to grow and support a thriving ecosystem of support for economic development at all levels. This includes large-scale recruitment and small business connections, as well as workforce development. The second objective for this goal is to work with current large employers to enhance workforce development programs for all ages, from children's education programs to retraining a furloughed workforce. And finally, the last goal for economic development is to increase tangible opportunities for economic growth. This objective means that they will expand shovel-ready industrial land availability by 2,000 acres within 5 years. And lastly, the objective for this goal is to improve connections for agribusiness by catalyzing partnerships and connections between North Carolina State University and the local farming community. The next key area of focus is education. The first goal being that Lee County government will have an established role in the provision of lifelong learning for the community and region. The objective for this is that within 1 year, Lee County government will define its role for community education and identify where its role can best serve that community education. Secondly, Lee County government will increase staff capacity for community-led educational programs. And finally, this last objective for this first goal is that county staff must identify and aggressively market current educational programs to the community. The second goal for education is that Lee County government will have a solid, clear, and mutually beneficial relationship with all sectors of education in the region. The first objective is to rebrand the county's role in community education and identify priorities for areas of new programs and target specific community members. And lastly, this last objective is to cultivate programming and services that complement and support the work of K-12 public education in Lee County. This next objective is health and well-being. The first goal being Lee County government's community health programs and services will be well marketed. The first objective here is to identify community needs through the results of the community health assessment. And secondly, use those results and data from the community health assessment to drive marketing, resource and personnel allocation, and funding. The second goal for health and well-being is to create an environment that promotes both physical and mental health and well-being in the community. The first objective here is to develop and market a plan to target uninformed sectors of the community, as well as sectors that may require preemptive education. The second objective is to identify partners within the Lee County government, as well as within the community at large, to market programs to promote a healthy and active community. And finally, the last key area of focus is partnerships. The first goal here is to foster and grow long-established foundational partnerships within all sectors of the community. First objective here is to really assess community need in finding missing partnerships and new areas for involvement. Secondly, the objective is to reduce redundancies of mission and duplicate service providers among partners in order to identify areas of focus. And finally, tell the story better. Develop a plan to market and identify partnerships between Lee County government and various community entities and explain the roles of each. The final goal for partnerships is to expand partnerships in the region. The first objective is to identify and grow new partnerships with groups offering established community benefits. And finally, create new opportunities to make community collaboration more accessible. So you have a strategic plan, and Lee County, the community at large, and the advisory group of Lee County government did a fantastic job in its creation. So now what? So finally, it comes down to the next steps and some recommendations in order to implement the plan for achieving success. The first step is obviously the implementation matrix or the work plan. This is the primary step to take and something that the pandemic limited schedule would not allow for the creation of the original strategic plan. Making sure that your goals and objectives get distilled into small projects and action steps that outlines a tangible plan for the community and keeps everyone accountable to the mission and vision of the plan. While goals and objectives are more lofty, action items can be put into place to begin immediate work on achieving these goals. How do you know that you're making an impact for the community and that the plan is working? Well, creating key performance indicators is essential to measuring your success and celebrating small victories as you work through your goals. Creating a forward-facing dashboard. Not only is it something easy for anyone to understand, but it also allows for the community and other stakeholders to follow the progress and really feel invested in the community's future. Different people understand things differently, and in order to convey your plan to others, both internally and externally, a forward-facing dashboard is a great means by which this can be done. Maintaining the mind share in your plan. We like to think that this plan will not sit on the shelf. The Lee County team ensured that this strategic plan is actionable and it has a lot of implementation and a lot of room for growth. But what about changes within the community or the goals of the elected officials and objectives? Having a facilitated quarterly meeting and an annual retreat to review this plan is key to make sure it is actionable and implemented and on trend with what's happening in Lee County and beyond. And obviously, communication is key here. An annual community survey is a great means by which trends can be identified and the community can communicate back on the implementation of the plan, its successes, or where greater focus needs to be. And finally, remember that this plan was created by the community for the community. It's all about you. The Lee County Strategic Plan is the culmination of a great job of many community stakeholders, community feedback, organizational staff, and leaders throughout the community. We'd like to say that if there are any questions or any comments, or if you want to get involved with the implementation of the plan, please contact Jamie Brown, Communication and Governmental Relations Manager at Lee County Government, the information on your screen. We appreciate your time today and look forward to seeing this plan grow and the community at large grow beyond its wildest dreams. Thank you.